Today, I'm revealing the true combat stories behind 5 legendary World War II aircraft nicknames. One was named by the enemy who feared it most. Another had a siren specifically designed to break men's minds. And one nickname came from a Seattle newspaper reporter who had no idea he was naming the most famous bomber in history. Let's get into it. The F4U Corsair earned the nickname Whistling Death from the Japanese forces in the Pacific. But here's what most people don't know. It wasn't the engine making that sound. When the Corsair dove at speeds exceeding 400 miles an hour, air rushed through the wing root oil coolers and the engine air intakes, creating a distinctive, high-pitched whistle. Japanese pilots could hear it from miles away. It became an acoustic warning that death was diving toward them at nearly 7 miles per minute. The numbers tell the story. The Corsair achieved an 11-to-1 kill ratio. It shot down 2,140 Japanese aircraft while losing only 189 Corsairs in air combat. 6 50 caliber machine guns, rugged construction, and a gull wing design that made it nearly unstoppable. Combat reports and pilot accounts confirm Japanese forces used this nickname informally. The whistle, combined with the Corsair's combat record, created a genuine psychological impact. But the Corsair wasn't the only plane whose name came from fear. One bomber earned its nickname before it even saw combat, and it came from a newspaper reporter who saw 13 machine guns and thought of a fortress. In 1935, a Seattle reporter named Richard Williams watched Boeing's new bomber roll out for public debut. He counted the machine gun positions bristling from the nose, tail, belly, and sides. He wrote down 2 words: Flying Fortress. Boeing loved it so much that they trademarked it immediately, but the crews who flew it into German airspace would prove the name was earned, not given. The B-17 carried up to 13 50 caliber M2 Browning machine guns, covering nearly 360 degrees. Nose turret, tail turret, dorsal turret, ball turret hanging from the belly, waist gunners on both sides. A formation of B-17s could put up a wall of defensive fire that German fighters had to penetrate. It wasn't invincible, but it could take punishment and keep flying. Over 12,700 B-17s were built. They dropped more than 640 tons of bombs on European targets, more than any other Allied bomber. The 8th Air Force flew them deep into Germany on the daylight bombing raids, often without fighter escorts, early in the war. Around 5,000 were lost in combat or accidents. 10-man crews flew missions knowing the odds, trusting that fortress of guns to bring them home. American bombers relied on defensive firepower, but Germany had a different approach to psychological warfare. They built a siren into their dive bomber specifically to break the enemy morale. The Junkers U-87 Stuka had propeller-driven sirens mounted on its fixed landing gear. They called them the Jericho trumpets. When the Stuka dove, those sirens screamed. It was designed psychological warfare. The sound alone could break troops before the bombs even hit. Early in the war, that scream became the signature sound of Blitzkrieg. The scream exploded fear. Ground troops heard it and knew bombs were seconds away. Some froze, some ran. The Stuka combined precision dive bombing with acoustic terror. It was devastatingly effective in Poland and France, where air superiority was already established. But the siren had a cost. It created drag and reduced speed. When the Stuka faced modern fighters with experienced pilots in the Battle of Britain, the limitations showed. It was slow, lightly armored, and vulnerable. The RAF shot them down in numbers high enough that Germany pulled them from the battle. But on the Eastern Front, where the Luftwaffe maintained air superiority, the Stuka remained effective. Hans Ulrich Rudel, the most decorated German pilot, flew 2,530 combat missions in Stukas. Germany used sound as a weapon. America used darkness. They painted their Night Hunter jet black. The Northrop P-61 Black Widow was the first U.S. aircraft designed from the ground up as a night fighter. Matte black paint scheme, radar in the nose, twin engines, 4 20mm cannons, and 4 50 caliber machine guns. It hunted at night when other fighters were grounded. The name came from the deadly spider we all know, and it fit perfectly. The P-61 carried SCR-720 airborne intercept radar that could detect enemy bombers from 5 miles away. The 3-man crew included a pilot, gunner, and radar operator. They flew in total darkness, using radar to close on targets invisible to the naked eye. Over Europe, they intercepted German bombers and V-1 flying bombs. In the Pacific, they hunted Japanese bombers attacking Allies' positions at night. The Black Widow wasn't produced in massive numbers. There were only 706 built, but it filled a critical role. night fighters protected bomber bases, supply lines, and troop concentrations from nocturnal attacks. The P-61 proved radar-equipped night fighters were the future. After the war, that technology evolved into modern, all-weather interceptors. American night fighters hunted in darkness, but Britain's most famous fighter earned its name in broad daylight during the Battle of Britain. The Supermarine Spitfire had many nicknames, but Mighty Mouse was used affectionately by some RAF squadrons. It captured what made the Spitfire special. It was smaller and lighter than many fighters, but it punched far above its weight. During the Battle of Britain, the combination of size, speed, and maneuverability saved Britain from invasion. The Spitfire's elliptical wing design gave it exceptional turning performance. In a dogfight, it could outturn the German Bf 109. 8 303 machine guns, later upgraded into 20mm cannons, over 20,000 Spitfires were built in multiple variants. It served from 1938 through the end of the war on every front. RAF pilots loved it because it was responsive, forgiving, and beautiful to fly. The Mighty Mouse nickname reflected that affection. These nicknames weren't chosen by marketing departments. They came from combat, the pilots who flew them, the crews who maintained them, and the enemies who faced them. The Whistling Death's acoustic signature, the Flying Fortress's defensive power, the Stuka's psychological siren, the Black Widow hunting in darkness, the Mighty Mouse's agility. Which nickname do you think was most fitting? Was there one that I missed that should be on the list? Drop all that in the comments below. If you made it this far, don't hesitate to smash the crap out of that like button, hit subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.